Thank you so very much. Please, if you want to stay, please, I'm begging, give me your ears. It's just a 15-minute presentation. Since we are here to build a movement, and I am doing something on international movement building, especially peace movement, I just thought I should share this exercise with you so that maybe from here it is for sure something that is coming to Cameroon in the nearest future, and maybe Kaupem should be the destination of that thing for the entire Cameroon. So I want to introduce us to the International Women Peace Movement. International Women Peace Movement is a movement that was created in 2013 in Korea. And as we must know, it is not the first movement in the world. So many movements have existed in the world. If we think of the New York Peace Association, since the 17th century, movements have existed, peace movements have existed. But they have either been sectorial or they have been national type of peace movement. And we even get to see that there have also been international or universal peace movements, but with their limitations. So we look back, like in the New York Peace Association of about 1815, we look at the League of Nations that was formed by Allied powers after the First World War in 1920. We look at the United Nations, which was born in 1945 after the Second World War. We look at Doctors Without Borders, created in 1971 to help victims of war and natural disaster. We look at Greenpeace, that was created to protect the earth environment, and then the creation of weaponry and the organization and prohibition of chemical weapons. We look at things like, so many of them, they have always existed, but as I said earlier, they have been sectoral, or they have been national type of things, or regional type of things, or they have protected or addressed only a specific type of consequence of disaster or war. So in 2013 in South Korea, women came together and decided to create a movement. The mission of this movement, the International Women Peace Movement, is to enjoy a happy and safe life where everyone has the right to pursue happiness, since human lives are threatened by disputes, conflicts, and war. That's the mission. And the vision is to bring all the 3.9 billion women that make up about more than half of the world population to come together, unite for the sake of realizing peace, cessation of war, and to achieve a peaceful war that is grounded in the motherly heart of mothers. We all know how the heart of a mother is. We have said it here repeatedly that everybody in this world came to this world through a mother. And we know mother's love. We know how labor pains are. But once the baby is there and the woman holds the baby in her hands, the pains vanish. That is the type of love that we need for peace to be rekindled in this world. So the aim of the IPWG, International Women, IWPG, International Women Peace Group, is to create a world where all families are happy with the supreme maternal love, sacrifice, and spirit of service. It is about peace, spreading the culture of peace in the world through maternal love. We all know our hearts as mothers. When we come and sit here, we might quarrel, we might disagree, we might even hate one another, but at the end of the day, we know our hearts, we know the love, we know that our hearts are filled with love. So the second objective, or the second aim of the International Women Peace Group, is to protect children from war with a motherly heart. to pass peace as a legacy for future generations, and many women, and of course, as I'm just saying, when women relate with this type of legacy, what future are we building for posterity? How sustainable is the future? If we say our children are our future and we go on fighting every day, today is September 11, they are celebrating, I think, 20 years. After the bombing of the Tower Eiffel in the United States. We know how many, today is 11. We see how, we know how many people died there. We know historically of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the bombings. We know how many people died there. We know what happened to the human environment that will never be rejuvenated again because of the chemicals that we used to bomb those places. We know the number of people that died during the First World War, the Second World War. We are living history live with what is happening in Afghanistan, with the taking over of the Taliban, what is happening to women now and children. We are living witnesses of what is happening in Cameroon, in the northwest and the southwest region, in the far north region, which is the reason why we created CAOPEM and we are in this hall today. So another objective of the International Women Peace Movement is drawing on voluntary participation for the realization of peace from high-level leaders to NGO and individuals around the world, which is one of the limitations of the previous organization. If we take away the United Nations from it, we see that all those other organizations, they were not legally binding. And even when we come with the United Nations, we all know how the most of the United Nations treaties and resolutions, they are soft laws. They are more of moral obligations that the states are reminded to take, to respect the rights of their citizens. They are not really binding laws, and that is why they always call on the states to enact model laws, national laws, for the implementation of those resolutions and treaties. And so one of the aims of the International Women Peace Movement is to correct the limitations of the existing peace movement. Because we live in a world where there is violent conflict and human rights violations is rampant, and the fact that women and girls are disproportionately affected by this violence, and the overall victims of wars and conflicts even include soldiers. Has anybody ever taken time to reflect over how conflict affects soldiers? Because most often these are children. If you take the case of what is happening in the northwest and the southwest region, these are children who all they wanted was employment, and they were employed by who? By the state. Who is the rightful person to employ them? But little did they know that were indeed employed to be taken to their own country to either kill or to be killed. So they are #1 victims of war, because they are fighting, most of them are fighting for something they don't even know. So these are the reasons why women decided to come together and say, these children, every child that is killed in a conflict, whether that child is killed on the side of the military or on the side of the non-state armed group, any child that dies unjustifiably is a sword in every woman's heart. Yeah. So this is the reason for which these women came together and decided to form this group, so that we can preach peace basing on the preciousness of human life and the value. We can preach peace with respect. We can preach peace with tolerance, with justice, with dedication, so that there can be harmony in the world. And I will just go ahead and name some of the works and activities of the International Women's Peace Group, so that if I am sure we should be interested, because the idea will be for us to join the world's 3.9 billion women to preach the gospel of peace that is grounded in humanity and not just in document. Some of their works include supporting and urging for the declaration of peace and cessation of war proclaimed by the HWPL, which is another organization in 2016, containing innovative measures including an anti-war provision that prevents war itself and realize actual peace to become a legally binding instrument, and promoting for it to be enacted as an international law. So the one of the main activities of the International Women's Peace Group is that there should be a declaration of peace and cessation of war document that is legally binding on the whole world. Another activity is providing peace education, like what I am trying to do here, and hoping that we should bring to Cameroon and make it part of our activities for women to learn the spirit of peace and how to put it into action. Let peace now flow from women. Women who are the mothers of humanity. When peace flows from them, that peace will be grounded in love and humanity, and we are hoping that it will make a difference. Another activity will be to plant peace, which is a project that is aimed at transforming the culture of discrimination, violence, conflict, and war into the culture of peace. All the war that is going on in the northwest and the southwest region, we know it is rooted in discrimination, marginalization, claims of discrimination and marginalization. So we as mother, there is no mother, if you have 10 children, you love them equally. The one that is a thief, the one that is a prostitute, the one that is anything, you love them equally. Only a mother can afford to have that type of a heart for humanity. This is why we are thinking that peace this time around should come from mothers, so that this peace should be humane and inclusive and comprehensive and holistic. So another activity is the International Women Peace Committees, consisting of 3 or more members in each region, and plans and implements IWPG's initiatives and peace initiatives in accordance with the culture and situational characteristics of each region, society, town, villages, and community. This is something that I will be doing in the days ahead, creating these peace communities with, of course, your collaboration. We will have to create these peace communities in the villages where we come from, in the towns where we come from, in the regions where we come from. People should be able, in the family, it should start with our families. Family peace committee, where people from the same family sit together once in a while and they talk and iron out their differences so that conflict should not escalate. We all know that what causes war is not conflict. Conflict is just disagreement, it's just controversy. It is when that conflict is poorly managed that it escalates into violence, and we have the wars that we have today. So the organs of IWPG, some of the organs include the advisory board. We as civil society, we just talked of an advisory board today, which is an international structure. We have the public relations ambassadors. We just talked of our own public relations officers here again, so we know what they are talking of. And then, so it is just a 15-minute presentation. It was just to introduce, for us to start reflecting, so that each time there is something we have to do here, we should actually know what we are talking about. We should remember that this was introduced to us already, and I bet you guys in the nearest future we'll be having activities from this organization. I've been working on that for a very long time. And some of their achievements include the institution of a World Peace Summit that will be celebrated or is commemorated 18th of September. I will make sure I remind also that we'll be part of that celebration, which was created in 2014. They also instituted They also instituted a 10 million signature campaign, which is like, this is actually how they started, and then they saw the strength of women preaching peace. The 10 million women campaign was an urge for a peace agreement for the cessation of war on the Korean Peninsula. Remember I said this International Women Peace Group originated in South Korea, right? And so far they have achieved 1,600,000 signatures for this urge for cessation of war in the Korean peninsula, because they believe that if there is no war in the peninsula, in the Korean peninsula, North Korea and South Korea can live because we all know what is happening in North Korea, right? If we envy South Korea like a beautiful, a green country, they call it in the world a green country. North Korea, who are their cousins? You have sisters and brothers who live in South and North Korea, but North Korea is hell, we all know. So they are praying that if there is peace in the Korean peninsula, there might also be demilitarization in the North Korea, and people will live in peace. So the idea was just to introduce. The lectures are deep. They are soul searching. When we have time, we'll go deep into them. But for today, I just thought, since we are here to formalize our women's peace movement, I just thought I should share this with us, and for us to start thinking, reflecting that these are the types of institutions that we should be thinking of joining them. And it takes, they say, a memorandum of agreement for an organization like ours to join them and be part of them and benefit from the trainings, the activities, and all the things that we can offer for peace to reign in the world from a woman's perspective, from a mother's perspective. That peace that is genuine, that peace that is natural, that peace that is heavenly can only come from women, because we know that women are human-centric. We don't negotiate peace for gain. We negotiate peace for love. We negotiate peace for quality and all the things that we can think of. I don't know if I've taken more than 15 minutes. Thank you so very much. That was just a short lecture.
Thank you. Well, our hands are full.
No problem. No problem.
I want to thank you so much, Simply, and to say that I'm a member of that group.
Okay.
Registered with the agreement signed. So
okay.
I'm happy that I can meeting.
Okay. Wow. Beautiful. Wow.
So why is a member of the?
Okay. So I did not lie, right?
No.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
no,
God.
I cannot lie. You can be with the
Okay. That's beautiful.